listening to CaveRadioBroadcasting.com. The words and opinions you are about to hear are of the hosts and do not reflect the management of CaveRadioBroadcasting.com.
Good afternoon and welcome to Down the Rabbit Hole. Today is Year of Our Lord or something. Today's Thursday, April 13th, Year of Our Lord 2017. You're listening to a Gen Pop Media production. We are Hooperless again. He's on the book trail. So he's doing actually he wanted to make sure I told you guys that he had an excused absence. So actually Hooper's just MIA. I'm expecting him any minute. I don't know, I haven't talked to him.
Oh.
Did you comment?
Can you actually hear my eyes rolling, or is that just an internal thing?
No, I think I heard.
Did you hear the audio from that?
I think I heard a few creaks.
Yeah, there was friction in there for sure.
That's
Hooper.
Okay. That's okay. Hooper can take care of a little bit of business.
Yeah,
we got Nick and Tony D and Kenny. So
well, if I'm not busting his balls, who is?
That's me.
Oh, you. That's right. I forgot. Yeah. Well, I assume he has two. So you bust one, I'll bust the other.
There we go. We can slam them together.
But that's an assumption. Let's clarify. That's an assumption.
It is. Well,
you ever had that conversation with somebody where they actually said they only had one ball?
Yeah.
This has happened before from a customer.
Really?
Yeah.
It just came
Talk
out
about like awkward silence, you know. Yeah.
Well, you know how.
Why would anybody volunteer that information?
Well, you don't do that in front of a guy like me because then from then on,
I'm going to bust that ball.
Yeah, from then on. Sorry, I'm just busting your ball. Yeah. It's just going to be an ongoing abuse.
I grew up with a kid who lost one in a football accident or whatever, but everybody called him Uno.
Yeah, I mean that's how it is,
so
right?
Bad for
that's
him,
how it is, dude. It'd be like, so do you get? Did they get?
And like everybody knew it. I mean, I don't know who he told. He probably told one person in confidence, but everybody knew.
Then everybody, Uno.
I mean, they'd like introduce him. Yeah, this is Joe Joenstein, the guy with one ball.
The guy's only got one testicle.
He's got one nut.
Ask him, was the other one in a jar? Or did you get to keep it?
Well, how does he keep balance? Yeah. You know, I mean, there's no pendulum action going on.
Well, that's a good point.
I don't know. I mean, I guess it's kind of grandfather clock.
It's a physics problem.
Action.
Yeah, you have to ask him. I
haven't kept in touch with him
because I'm a horrible person.
Yeah, because you are kind of a horrible person now that you mention it. Yeah, so enough with balls.
But that is funny that somebody just, especially a customer. It's like, just by the way.
People will tell you things that you just really shouldn't know.
Yeah. So when does that due? Oh, yeah, and by the way, I only have one nut, if I didn't mention that. So.
I mean, are we this close of friends, I mean, are we missing something here?
I don't know.
I'm like, dude, I got to see that.
Yeah. Well, would always
show me.
Dude, I got to see it, dude.
Yeah, do it, but, it'd be funny to do it. Is to do it like you're real serious, like, hey, really? Hey, let me check that out. Let's go
dude,
over
I
here.
gotta see it, dude. Yeah,
we'll go over here and check it out. Just keep it on the down.
So, like when you do the goat, it's not as effective as if when I do the goat.
Well, I don't even know what the goat is.
Yeah, I don't know.
You've never seen that movie, dude?
What movie?
Waiting.
I don't think so.
Oh, come on, really?
I was just telling. Of course, I live by waiting. Come on.
Oh, you have to see.
I was just telling somebody about that the other day.
Oh my. Okay, you have to. Homework assignment.
Yeah.
Watch Waiting. It's underrated. It's comedy. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, they bring up the Batwing for crying out loud. It's awesome.
It is.
That's so funny.
Right. I can't even pick a favorite part.
It's great
because there are just too many incredible parts in the movie. I love the chef guy with the waitress girlfriend in the bathroom stall. It's just hilarious.
It's the best.
Yeah.
Oh, is this the movie with Ryan Reynolds?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
No, I never did see that.
Oh, you have to.
They made a second one too.
Did they? Is it any good?
No,
it's all right.
It's not.
I don't know how you
good.
could top.
And he wasn't in it, right? Ryan Reynolds was
No.
not in it.
No, then it's ruined.
Yeah, because he was the best part of the movie.
Yeah, it's ruined then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, boy.
So that's what I got. Okay, well, we'll be back next week.
Yeah. Next week.
Thanks for listening.
Something more interesting.
Let's hope.
Like people with 3 balls.
Yeah. Yeah, every now and then you get that person when you say, "How are you today?" and they like want to tell you. Yeah. They're like, no, really. Yeah, well,
Now that you ask.
my sciatic is acting up, and
Yeah.
I got a bunion.
Yeah. Damn hemorrhoid of mine is just flaring up today. It's just ungodly.
I call him Pete because he's the big one. So what's going on in the world, man?
We're bombing the crap out of stuff again.
Okay.
Again today?
Yeah.
Are we good with it? Who are we bombing?
Who cares? I mean, you know what? It's like at this point.
It was Afghanistan. It was
Oh.
a non-nuclear bomb.
Yeah, they dropped the monster. They dropped that 22,000-pound.
Bunker buster?
No, dude. This is the.
It was an M something.
Well, it's MOAB is the acronym for it. It actually
Okay.
stands for Massive Operational Air Blast Bomb, but it's also known as the mother of all bombs.
Okay.
And Russia has an answer to this. They have the father of all bombs, which is like 4 times, I guess, stronger than the
Awesome.
mother of all bombs.
Awesome.
Which is totally sexist, by the way.
Yeah,
Russia.
Absolutely.
You gotta check that. That's a microaggression. Triggering microaggression.
Well, maybe
But,
they should put a medium-grade gender fluid bomb in there.
Totally. Should be
That's
the
like-
parent.
It's like half as powerful as the father and twice as powerful as the
Just
mother.
call it the parent of all bombs. It'd be POAB. Then it includes everybody. It's fair then. But yeah, they blew. They right on the Pakistani
What bathroom
border.
do you think that bomb would use at Target?
This is complicated, and this requires a committee
Okay.
to decide on
There
that.
are 5 of us here.
Yeah, because there could be 96 bathrooms if you really want to go there.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, so you need a whole other wing for all the bathrooms. It's a plumbing nightmare.
Batwing?
Batwing. Yeah. Yeah, so they dropped a monster bomb on ISIS.
Okay. So this is ISIS related. This has nothing to do with Syria.
and
and
Afghanistan. Well, I think, these are all connected, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's real close to the Pakistani border, so this is an interesting dynamic going to play out. We got an armada right outside of Korea now.
Yeah, I heard about that. I heard Korea's pretty pissed off at us
Well,
right now.
North Korea.
North Korea.
Yeah, but when are they not? China lined their border with soldiers and artillery and the whole nine.
And China is on North Korea's side or on ours?
They're actually lined the border of North Korea with troops, from what I read.
What's interesting is, depending on where you get your information from, there's so much going around right now. You don't know which way's up.
Right.
Well, that's the way it is with everything.
I think that's a plan.
Well,
Yeah.
What's going on
Yeah.
right now is there's a plan going on. There's throwing out all this different information, and it's I think there's a lot of testing going on to see which way the public's going to go.
Oh, yeah.
You see
They're
what I
so
mean?
confused.
Well,
They'll go both ways
it's-
at once.
Yeah, and I mean, it's to the point now where there was another bombing in Germany.
On the bus for the
Yeah, they tried to kill the soccer players or football players. Sorry, I just got to include everybody.
Mhm.
But it goes by now. Nobody. It's just like, oh, another bombing. Oh well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then let's hold signs up that say
there a
let
sale
'em
on
in.
QVC?
Whatever. It's crazy. dude.
What's on HSN?
Yeah, I think my opinion is that stage is set. It's been set, but now it's really set, and it's World War III, man. This is gonna go down.
Well, I mean, we have seen all the red flags have been going off for about 15 years now.
This is going down, dude.
I mean, they've been going off for a lot longer than that, but I mean, just in rapid succession over the last 15 years, it's just red flag, red flag, red flag, red flag.
North
And,
Korea's off the hook, dude. They're just,
the
they're
American
just,
people are like, American
You know-
Idol.
what's interesting. Like I said, there's different information going all over the place, and we've talked about Trump on the show before. That you're hoping that. I mean, we even talked about him being divine intervention, right?
Mm-hmm.
Possibility of this,
The
yeah.
possibility of him doing this, right? But there's so many in this swamp is so loaded with these different people that are around there. You just don't know what's going to happen when, like, he is in office now. You don't know which way he's going to turn.
Well, you can kind of look at what he's stacked his deck with, and he's literally surrounded himself with Manhattan Democrats.
Yeah.
And
that's really troubling.
I'm not really,
Here's
really sure about this.
Here's the question. This is very weird. Is that usually the Democrats are against the war, right? They were against all war things, but it's been nothing but praise and everything from the media and from the Democrats about Trump bombing Syria.
Mm-hmm.
Which when he bombed, I was concerned. What's he doing there? Well, he unloaded a bunch of 30-year-old weapons on a Syrian air base that I don't think, what was it, 4 soldiers might have gotten killed. Do you guys know?
Yeah, it was more of an infrastructure attack from what I can gather, right?
So you think you're in the back of your mind, you're saying, well, maybe he's got some chess game. You know, everyone talks about the chess game he's got going on. Maybe there's some chess game, that thing he's working out, but nobody really knows what's going on. But yet all these media, and you look at it's the same people. It's the liberal Democratic media, and even the McCains and the Romneys and all these people are all jumping up saying, yeah, this is the right thing to do, which is totally opposite of what the Bush administration was.
That bombing, right, was just in hardware was over $60 million. I think those missiles are like 1.3 each.
Right.
So they lobbed 60 of them. And I think if you really look at it, that's what it's about, dude. I mean, so you said 30-year-old. Well, so if they launch them, they got to build new ones.
Well, you're going to.
And they're talking about building more aircraft carriers. Which, of course, why do we need more? I don't know. But
well, look what happened. Look what happened in World War II. This is kind of what I'm going after. World War II in Hawaii, right, in Pearl Harbor.
Mm-hmm.
They literally chained these old ships together and left them out there to dangle. And you guys have heard this?
Oh yeah.
It was the enticement. They knew Japan was coming in. They knew they were going to do this, so they basically put these things together so it'd be easy for them to do a lot of damage. And it was a lot of old equipment, which does exactly what you're saying. Oh, we lost this up. Now we have to build some more, and so there's a lot of different things going on here that it really gets convoluted and strange.
Dude, it's money, dude. They got, any more. Take military, take NASA. The amount of money they're just injecting into this. All of a sudden, do they really think we're going to live on Mars? This is totally insane. But the money that goes into it, and war is big business, man. Big
Absolutely.
business. And we know around this area and the industry we're in, the defense contracts just in this region of the nation alone is mind-blowing. The amount of money we're talking. If you're not launching bombs and dropping bombs and shooting missiles and using stuff, these companies aren't making any money. Because when you shoot a missile, you need to build a new one, right? This is...
Right.
It's like cereal. When you run out of cereal, you got to buy more if you want more cereal. So it just keeps going. So, we dropped this monster bomb on Afghanistan. It was developed, I think, in early 2000s. So, said, hey, use that. It's kind of collecting dust, find a reason to... I think they're not going to stop until it's all out. It's all out. You got North Korea right now. They're, the reports are... They're ramping up for another nuclear test. And all you hear for the last, however long, oh, don't do that. Don't do that again. Well, don't do it again. Well, don't do it again. Next time, don't do it again. Well, there's a red line. And you hear all this and nothing happens. So it's gone on far too long, in my opinion. But if they go ahead and conduct another nuclear test when the whole planet is telling them not to. And again, I don't know. I'm not on the ground there. I don't know. It could all be BS.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, it could be.
It could all be
he
news.
is a puppet that
it could
we
be all
put in there.
BS. He to
do exactly.
Well, you know
what
how
I'm saying.
extreme I get. He might not even be a real person.
Yeah. Well, he's probably not.
But you know what I'm saying, right? So I don't know how far you want to take that, but let's just say what it is on face value is it is what they say it is. And if he conducts this other test and he's lobbing stuff near Japan and all the stuff he's been up to, okay, chemical weapons, nuclear weapons, really? There's an armada sitting there right now, right off the coast. Our Navy, full, deal. So they could vaporize that entire country with what they have parked out in the sea. So if they just, now...
So what's his upside? He's just insane?
Again, that's the case that is...
Because, see, that's the thing that, Tony pointed out some stuff last week and on Facebook that I dug into, and it really made me think it's about, what's really going on in Syria. And I've pretty much come to the conclusion based on the fact that, you know what only spent about 30 seconds in the news cycle is the fact that Assad still had chemical weapons when John Kerry and Barack Obama assured us that they had gotten all the chemical weapons out of Syria.
2 confirmed liars, by the way.
Yeah. Well,
so why do we listen to anything, especially John Kerry?
Well, I'm just saying. I mean, but they were the good regime, right?
I guess
Trump's the bad one. So we've got these guys caught once. How many times do we need to catch people in the Obama administration in bald-faced lies before something gets done? Let me ask that question. And it's like when you see that the fact that the Obama administration is complicit in the fact that they in fact did not clean out. They probably didn't remove one chemical weapon from Assad's arsenal.
Well, you heard what Tillerson said, though.
What did Tillerson say?
That it's Russia's responsibility to ensure and guarantee. They were the guarantors of the fact that Syria does not have these. They were supposed to be, but why again?
Okay, so here's the game, right? So here's what I'm thinking. Okay, based on what the questions that Tony raised on his posts on Facebook, I'm thinking the CIA, dude, because if you think about it. Okay, Putin, okay? He seems to be the Russian Trump, okay? I mean, right? He's kind of like, he seems to be pretty pro-Russia, but he seems to be a relatively reasonable guy, doesn't he?
I don't know that I would agree with that, considering his past, but okay, go on.
Well, I mean, for the things that he's done since he's been president and the things that he's asked for, it seems like he's a relatively reasonable dude.
What's very a real link to that is just like when Trump the other day said he is a president for Russia, not for the world. Putin, that is.
Right.
Just like Trump would be president of the U.S.,
right.
not the world. So if you read some of the stuff about Putin, the things that he did in the oligarchy that took over his country, when back in the 80s, that country was done for.
Yeah.
So he stepped in and basically saved them. So his people love him. And he's not doing anything that's against anybody else.
No, he's just everything's pro-Russia.
Well, except for murdering people and people killed and whatever. I'm just saying what's out there.
Well, but it's not like people aren't getting killed in the United States.
No,
I'm not saying it's not right, but I don't think we can hold him any more accountable for. This is business as usual for these politicians at this level, I guess.
I'm just saying.
Look at all the people that disappeared that have Clinton's fingerprints all over.
Right. Yeah, I'm not saying he's any worse or any better, but he is ex-KGB, dude. He is absolutely he had people in opposition murdered. This is
so he's George Bush.
And well, that's probably a good comparison.
Yeah, he's George Bush.
What the difference is that George Bush is a globalist. Putin is not.
Okay.
And that I will agree with. He's not.
Well, so what I don't get here is, what does Russia have to gain from going to war with us? Why would, that's why it stinks to me that they're trying to lay this in Russia's lap, because what do they possibly have to gain from going to war with us?
Well, it wouldn't be.
What are they going to do? Are they going to invade? Are they going to invade our soil? Are they going to take part of the country? No, they're not.
Well, nobody is, and there's a very specific reason why, because the United States really isn't invadable.
Right.
So, you have that, and that's mostly geographic in nature. It's just not possible.
Right.
But what did they gain? Let's just look at it from a standpoint of Cold War. Not a hot war where we're on the ground fighting and lobbing stuff back and forth, but the Cold War, it depending on how you perceive it, a lot was gained from that war. The space race, technology, it was literally head-to-head competition, one-upping each other for a long time. And their space program, our space program, their military, our military, all that technology was driven from that Cold War.
I totally understand that. But I'm saying, what does Russia... Again, this thing in Syria is different. It's different than... It's not Cold War to me.
No, it's not. It's different. And what's different about it is, there's some... And I don't remember if I brought this up on the show before or if it was just in conversation, but it is interesting that the focus on Syria. Why is the focus on Syria? Because if it's humanitarian, quote unquote, well, you could throw a dart at a globe and find anywhere that needs this. It's not like Just look at, I use Africa as an example. Why aren't we there?
Yeah, why don't we care about Africa?
Why aren't we there?
Gotcha. Yeah.
I mean, go around. I mean, anywhere. I mean, there's atrocities going on in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
But we don't, but why Syria? Why is this, and how did Assad even get there in the first place?
Yeah.
This is another good question. And that's where you bring up CIA. That's very interesting.
I think it was, I absolutely think that I'm sure that Kerry and Kerry and Obama really never cleaned out anything. Okay. The only thing, because we all know the only thing Clinton cleaned out was everybody's pockets. Okay.
Well, right. What's interesting about that, because we're going back to 2013, 2014, around there, where they had the first.
I thought 12, but okay.
Back during those times, Syria.
You might be right, 14.
Assad was supposedly used the chemicals on his people.
Yeah.
Right? That's what's been reported. But if you go to some of these alternate news sources and find out some other information, you start digging things up, that's never been proven. All right? And it's widely held that was put on by somebody else to do that to Assad, which makes sense for what
that to me makes more sense.
Yeah, because
this is what the government was doing at this time.
Well, look at all the regimes that they've toppled, right?
Mm-hmm.
They were all these secular, moderate regimes that kept this crap in check.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying these guys are good guys, but
yeah, Iraq spawns ISIS, and then they get rid of Gaddafi, and all of a sudden we have Benghazi.
All that go down the list, right?
Yeah, down the list.
Egypt, Libya,
yeah, South America,
Iraq.
It's happened in South America as well.
So what's going on, right? So it is interesting because Assad, he's not a good guy, but if you were to compare him to say other leaders in the Middle East,
I mean, compare him to China's leader, Mao Zedong. Yeah,
I don't know if anyone compares to that bastard.
Yeah, you take these people, you take him, you take Stalin, you take Hitler. Millions and millions of people they killed.
Yeah, tens of millions. Each.
Probably 100 million if you add it all up.
Yeah,
close to 100 million. So Assad, no, he's not a good guy. But the thing that I find funny is McCain was saber rattling the other day, and then he ends up going out there. He went to the Middle East for what? And then a couple days later, they have this chemical attack, and then everyone goes in.
Dude, that guy needs to be in a nursing home. He's done.
Well, he is.
He needs to go away.
You could see he is a part of the One World Order.
Yeah.
He's part of Soros. Whatever you want to call these people, he is a part of all that.
Yeah, and John Kerry. It's when you bring him up. Now you could go back into all you got to do and it's important.
That guy. I'm sorry, he's a twat.
Dude, the guy's a piece of dirt. So have you watched any of the hearings from the 70s when he lied and threw?
All he does.
He's a traitor.
Yeah.
He was working with the Viet Cong. He lied and threw soldiers under the bus and made up a bunch of stories about the ear necklaces and all that stuff, and lied and under oath. That never happened. And that he saw. He made it all up. And it came out later. And then this guy becomes Secretary of State.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
but after Hillary Clinton,
he's a Yale graduate, and he is a Skull and Bones.
Well, there you go.
Along with Bush.
Yeah.
So they're all.
Well, he is.
Well, that guy's a piece of garbage.
He is neither skull nor bones. He is twat.
Yeah, he's a piece of garbage.
His wife is Council on Foreign Relations, which we talked about.
Of course, because the CFR's got their finger in everything.
This is all you need to do when these stories come out is look where these people are from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's the same characters. I mean, you think that we're going to be able to move on from the Obama administration. Granted, we're only 4 months removed from the Obama administration, but I mean, we've had transitions from other presidencies when there have been conflicts in the world, and it's pretty much the new. It's like the Iran thing. You didn't hear any more about Carter after Reagan got sworn in. There was no more Carter. Right. He just went away until recently,
which was,
and then now all of a sudden he's evangelical and back.
He should have stayed away.
Yeah, I wish he would have. But you didn't hear about even with Bill Clinton. As much as he had going on, as popular as he was, even though he didn't do anything. But you didn't hear much about Bill Clinton anymore when G-Dub got in the White House. But it's like we're 4 months in, and we're still exposing the dirty laundry from the last regime.
Well, this will never end.
Well, see, this
It's
is
going to end up being ignored because there's too much of it.
This is the important part.
And is it because of the way the media is nowadays, or is it because each administration is more and more unlawful and amoral than the last administration?
It's both, and the two work together.
Okay.
So there's an obvious bias in the media that's front and center and undeniable. I mean, where there's some stories they just don't report on.
Right.
There's other stories that they literally lie, and they're getting away with it for now. I think this is going to come to a head soon, where these people in the media are going to start called out by name because they're playing a dangerous game.
Yeah, they are.
And
you know Trump is going to call them out.
Well, it's going to be other
if he does
media.
nothing else in his first or only term, if he does nothing else, if he just cleans up the media, I will feel like we have a victory.
And this is a complicated proposition because here you go with the First Amendment. How do you clean it up, quote unquote, right?
Well,
you have to allow. You almost have to allow it to clean up itself.
Yeah, but there's in my mind, and again, it's not the letter of the law, but in my mind, there's a huge difference between having an opposing opinion and telling a lie.
You have to.
CNN is creating
Yeah.
their own news
Yes, they
to
are.
suit their agenda.
Right.
And then that gets blasted out with a bullhorn
Right.
that everybody hears and everybody's talking about. And then a few weeks later, at like 3 o'clock in the morning, someone comes on and goes, "Yeah, we were wrong about that. I'm sorry." And then a few,
If they even bother with it, they don't even retract.
I mean,
some of this stuff.
and the CNN, when they get busted doing this stuff, it never appears in major media.
No, because they are.
And so the average American thinks that what they're seeing, the CNN retraction, is false news.
It's unbelievable that the information war has gone to new heights in recent weeks. And this is where this is complicated, because how do you come down on the media without trampling all over the First Amendment? It really is up to the citizenry here to reject that media.
Right.
Because you can't really, I mean, they could say whatever they want.
And they do.
I mean, what do you
But
do?
aren't we almost powerless?
Well,
I mean,
No.
if the people in charge refuse to replace these lying,
No, we see the thing is we are in charge. The people just don't know it. The way to
people-
fix it is don't ever watch CNN. And guess what? They fold. It's over.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of the market.
what? I have not watched CNN
but
in
they are
10
getting-
years, and they're still there.
The Washington Post, got 600 million last year. Jeff Bezos got 600 million from the CIA last year.
Yeah.
Okay. This is literally state-run media.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I believe.
It
But
is state-run media.
it is. But
Information war,
which makes it worse,
makes it much worse.
because now what do you do?
Exactly. Now
right?
what do you, how
now
do you
what
stop
do you do?
that from
Because all they'll do is, again, it's a matter of convenience, especially when it comes to our legislative documents, where they follow it when it's convenient, but then they don't when it's not convenient.
And nobody's
Well,
paying
look,
attention enough to the law to know when to enforce it.
They're not following the law. You know that right now. By them, I mean the government is not following the law, and the media is not following the law, because you've got this whole Russian collusion story,
Right.
Okay?
And that's
you got
why
the leaking story, the Susan Rice. You got all these things. There's so much illegal and bad things going on. We'll just say they're just bad things going on in our media and our government, that the only thing that can happen is people need to be woken up to it, and then start to do just as you say, turn CNN off, turn ABC off, turn NBC off,
Yeah. Well, what you're seeing in the background, you don't hear about it because they will never broadcast this. But on the state level, there is huge gains in getting enough states on board to call Article 5 Convention of the States. It's getting closer and closer and closer, and more states have actually said, yeah, we're in.
Why don't you remind us exactly what that means?
It is, I'll summarize it. The Article 5 Convention of the States is literally the last-ditch fire alarm that they baked in to where we can correct a runaway, corrupt government without violence. It's right there. So if you, and of course, the warnings you hear is that, so if you need, I believe, 3/4 of the states to say, yeah, we're in. And they call an Article 5 convention you could literally rewrite the entire Constitution in this convention, but more realistically, it would be to modify amendments, add amendments. It's to sit down, modify the Constitution to address issues mainly of tyranny.
But
right?
are there even 38 states that are
It's not there
that
yet.
lack enough corruption to be able to rewrite the law?
You'd be surprised, because on the state level is where it's at.
You think the worst corruption is on the federal level?
That is the corruption. That is the purpose of the Constitution.
Okay,
is to protect us from them, not the other way around. So
Dave has a lot more faith in government than I do. I think they've got to be corrupted.
It's not government that I have faith in. It's not government I have faith in. It is the documents inspired by God I have faith in. And you can prove this. I think we've done this on the show.
I think we have.
And the design behind it is so incredibly brilliant. It's not flawless by any means. These guys knew they weren't perfect. So that's why they put these things in there. There's ways to amend the Constitution. There's ways to...
And who makes up the committee that would do that?
What do you mean?
So what are the governors of those 38 states?
That's right. They actually, the state legislature...
So we're gonna if Michigan's a state, we're gonna trust Snyder to do something right.
You don't have to trust Snyder. We have the House.
Okay, so it would be our representatives?
It's a legislative action. So, and again, you go through the same ratification process that took place when they ratified the Constitution itself. So it would have to be ratified through legal means. So you would literally have as much support for it, which now, again, process is complicated. It takes a long time, and people within the land of Keurigs and microwaves, people don't have patience anymore for process. But it's important. Process has a purpose, and they can debate this out publicly. They can go through, and if something wacky comes out, it'll get shot down. I believe in this process. I think it'll work. But what you'll hear, the opposition to it, is it'll be a runaway convention. It'll be a runaway. You'll lay the whole document bare. Do you really want that? That's propaganda, scare tactics.
Right,
the system is in place, and it's there, and it needs to be done because, like you see, what we have now, we have issues to deal with. So the real crux of the problem, and you heard what's her name, Frankenstein from California.
Dianne Feinstein?
Yeah. She laid it out clear what the problem is they believe the Constitution is a living, breathing document, which it is not, because a living, breathing Constitution is no Constitution at all. If it can it just can change, evolve with society the way she put it, that's a dangerous proposition, because it's like today stealing's not right, but tomorrow it's fine. On Thursdays, you can steal twice as much, but on Fridays, no stealing. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's no...
Well, that's the whole problem with this world, is that that people are resistant to absolute morality. We have blurred the lines in every area, every facet of our existence, and nobody can tell right from wrong anymore.
Here's where that is such a good point. Okay, this is where the media and your Hollywood stuff goes on about the brainwashing, because what you're talking about, okay, is very good. It would be like the Brexit, okay, very similar to that, in that you'd have someone come out, because they've talked about this for many years, but every time they brought it out, the media and everybody was all over it. Oh, that'll never happen. This is wrong. Blah. They're going to shoot it down.
Sure.
That's why this media control is so important. That's why this Hollywood control is so important, because they've basically, all these things they're doing are getting you out of that morality, instead of following, having good morals and, doing what you're supposed to be doing, right? All these outside influences are telling our kids, no, you don't want to do that. You want to be like the Kardashians. You want to be like this.
Yeah.
You want to,
Well, do as thou wilt, right?
Yeah, I was skimming a book that I intend to read. And they brought something up, and it's kind of about morality, you know, and things that are wrong with our society, soft disclosure, that kind of stuff. And Forrest Gump, movie Forrest Gump. Everybody agree? Great movie.
It's a good movie. Yeah.
Yeah. Just to let your kids watch it.
I don't know. I'd have to watch it again.
Okay.
But my kids are young, so I don't know.
Okay.
They
Guys,
wouldn't even.
anything? Tony?
No, because I know how bad movies are, but yeah,
Yeah.
I'd let them watch
Forrest
it.
Gump, good movie. Let your kids watch it.
It's been such a long time since I've watched it. I think it was a pretty decent movie.
Yeah, it seems like a wholesome movie.
Oh, okay.
It's
The one
great-
he had his
entertaining,
his
Except for
girlfriend
Jenny was a
little bit-
whore, right? So
Right.
You got that.
Jenny was
Jenny.
kind of a whore. Yeah. Jenny.
Jenny's
Jenny's a
was a
whore. Yeah, but I don't know that it's a kid.
So
it's a
in
kids
this
movie.
so in this book, they bring up Forrest Gump. Now, me personally, I'm not going to admit. Well, I guess I shouldn't admit to this on air in case somebody from Child Protective Services is listening. But I took my son, who will remain ageless for the purpose of this broadcast, to see Deadpool.
Oh, I laughed so hard after I watched that movie. I was like, I cannot believe Howard brought him to see this. How uncomfortable
Dude,
that must have been.
It was awesome. We
No,
laughed
dude,
our
that's
ass
I gotta
off
tell you,
through
it's
the whole
not
thing.
awesome, but that's just my opinion.
Wow.
Dude, there's like, I don't even need to elaborate. Anyone who's seen Deadpool knows that it's not a kids movie.
Well, this is the way I look at it, and I could be wrong because we know that there's a lot of programming left to undo in me. But the way I look at it is my mother was way too controlling on me. She was way too strict with me, and therefore I rebelled and did that stuff anyway.
You got a point.
She stopped me from doing nothing.
Yeah, but
All she did was damage the relationship between the two of us for several
At
years.
least agree, though, there is a line to be drawn. You're not going to go home and throw a porno in. Hey, check it out, dude. This is cool. No, see,
I would
exactly.
Never, I would
There's
never
a line.
do that. But what I'm
but
saying,
it's borderline, though.
But I'm saying, well, I know I was pushing the limits with that one. Okay, I pushed the limits in a couple spots.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
But my thought with my son is like, if he's going to do it anyway, because he is me. Okay, he is absolutely 100% the reincarnation of me. Okay?
Except for reincarnation's not real.
Well, you know what I'm saying. If he's gonna do it anyway, I'd rather he did it with me so we could talk about it.
Hey, valid. Yeah, absolutely valid.
He's going to be exposed to these things regardless. But so anyway, back to Forrest Gump. This movie was probably rated PG, right?
I think so. Yeah.
So in this book, they bring up Forrest Gump, and they were talking about how he told another guy, yeah, watch Forrest Gump. The whole family got together and watched it. It was awesome. We really enjoyed it. And then this dude goes in and completely undresses Forrest Gump and talks about how they're stretching the moral limits. I mean, in the beginning, Sally Field sleeps with the principal of a school to get Forrest Gump in the school she wanted him in.
That's true. Yeah, and then he makes fun of her, right?
And then he makes fun of her.
Yeah.
And then, Jenny's a whore.
She absolutely drug addicted whore.
Yeah. Before they're ever married, they sleep together and conceive a child. Okay, and there are many other blurred things throughout this, and he's like, that all may seem pretty laid back and inane to you, but what message is that sending to your children if it's not discussed?
Yeah, okay, yeah, fair.
And it's like, I would, of all the movies in the world, I would think Forrest Gump would be, I'd leave my kid and let him watch it on his own. I mean, it's Forrest Gump,
But now that
But you think about it, and basically it's like we are programmed at every frickin' turn. And I am absolutely, I noticed this a long time ago. My aunt and I have these discussions because she won't watch me. If it's a good story, I don't care. You can do anything you want. There can be violence, anything. As long as the story's good, I'm gonna watch the movie. Okay? And there have been many movies that I consider to be great movies that my son hasn't seen with me, that I've recommended to my aunt, and she's like, "Oh yeah, it's just too violent for me." And I'm like, "It's a movie. It's on the screen. It's fake. The story's great.
Yeah, she doesn't like all the gore.
Well, she reads the Bible for Christ. There's some gore in there. Read the resurrection.
I know, but
at any rate, and so I, it became obvious to me, many years ago that by watching these movies and you see this violence constantly, you become desensitized to it.
Sure.
And so I saw it as becoming desensitized when actually what was happening was I was being programmed to accept this as the norm.
Yeah.
You look at kids' video games and the violence in their video games, and that explains why we dropped the mother of all bombs on Afghanistan, and I don't even know about it. I mean, I didn't see it.
It was a blurb. It was just a little
I didn't see
blurb.
anybody tweet about it.
Yeah. But you know what? It's funny.
There were no liberals screaming about it on Facebook.
Well, last year.
Well, they're not going to because
All right.
they're in support of this.
Well, last year, 26,000 bombs were dropped. Just so you know.
Yeah, you know how many bombs I know about got dropped last year?
Just now, you learned 26,000.
26,000.
And I didn't know that until I read it also.
Yeah, I probably could tell you more about the F-bombs we have dropped on the show
Right.
in the last year than...
Or the terrorist bombings. You could probably name a few of those.
Yeah, I could name a handful of those.
And if you include the shootings in there, you can name those. But yeah, over 26,000 bombs were dropped, whether drones or whatever. But military strikes, dude, in just 1 year.
And this is what shows you that, when we were talking about the two parties earlier, you're talking about one administration to the next. But when it's going from Bush to Clinton, Clinton to Bush, Bush to Obama, all those are okay because they're all on the same side.
I understand that completely.
This is why the only hope we had was that Trump was a true outsider. Yeah. And like right now, I'm sitting
like
back
Reagan
and
was.
I'm wondering, are we going to be deceived? Is this going to be a big plot that we don't see coming?
Well, I'm gonna continue. I'm gonna do what I always do, which is I am gonna pray and I'm gonna hope for the best and expect the worst.
Yeah.
Because the problem is some of these things, some of that hope I had last year that late in the year was really firing me up and really made me felt like I felt like we won.
Yeah.
Like the guys in this room, like we got a victory. And now I'm starting to feel ashamed of myself because I see it and it's like nothing has happened yet that has made me need to consider a long hot shower, but I can just see where it's going.
Yeah,
I just
it's kind of like that. Speaking of movies, it's kind of like the Dumb and Dumber. So you're saying there's a chance, right?
So you're saying there's a chance.
It might be 1 in a billion.
Yeah,
but hey, there's a chance.
There's a chance.
Yeah,
that's that little bit of hope that we're all sparked for right now.
Yeah,
and I think everyone's kind of sitting back right now. I think when we left last week is when the bombs started going in Syria. The missiles started hitting Syria because we walked out and you were saying,
that's right.
Oh, this is so all week I'm like stressed out driving home, like what the heck, because not to get back on Syria too long, but
no, that's fine because I want to finish that up and I have another question before we go to break.
This Syria, this happens in Syria and you're like, why would Assad do this? This does not make sense. They've already said, Tillerson's already said that they're not going after regime change, right? So the only thing that he was going in front of the UN. Things seem to be kind of shaking out okay. Then all of a sudden this happens. What is the only thing that would oust him?
Yeah.
Would be this
chemical
gas
weapons.
Chemical
right.
gas attack.
So okay, good. So
you guys think that was real or false flag?
I think it's a false flag.
I take it either way. I mean,
yeah,
who knows,
either way,
right?
Yeah,
I take it either way.
Yeah, over there,
Wouldn't even surprise me.
Yeah. So it goes back to my question. So if it's not Assad, and supposedly it's Russia, because if it's not Assad, that's the second guess is that it's Russia. Well, my second guess is it's the CIA, that it's actually America.
Ask your question. Why would Russia do it?
Yeah, why would exactly?
No
what does Russia have to gain from starting a war with us? Oh, I mean, I'm not talking, like I said, we're not talking about a Cold War. We're talking about an actual physical people dying.
No, a war between the United States and Russia would be catastrophic.
And I don't think, and I'm sorry. I don't think it's going to happen. And I don't, it's like.
But hold on.
I don't think Putin's an idiot.
This is something that's been working towards for many, many years.
Yeah, I mean.
They've been working towards this U.S. It's like, if Dave was here, he would start talking about the letter.
Absolutely.
The Illuminati letter that was found about the 3 world wars. Okay. And this is something you can watch all these things go on, and as it happens, it's being pushed that way, one way or another.
And that's what I'm saying. That's the only thing that makes sense, is that it's not really Russia, it's not Assad, it's not the United States, it is it's the powers that be that are trying to make every line of that letter come true.
Well, seems to be going that way.
Okay, so my next question, and we can we got a few minutes. We got about 9 minutes before the break. My next question is, okay, so the only way to get this to stop is to wake people up and make them to demand, hold their elected officials accountable. Maybe Article 5, that's what it was, Article 5? Maybe we have to enact Article 5. So the only way to do this is to get people to wake up like we have been awoken. Okay, so how do we do that? Because they think we're nuts.
Well, it may be.
Well, you guys are all nuts.
It may.
Yes.
Well, I mean, they're right. I didn't say they were wrong. I just said they think we're nuts.
But I think it may be too little, too late. It may just be too far gone.
It may be too far gone, and honestly, there's nothing we can do about it.
No,
at this point.
it's turned into a behemoth. It's a leviathan. It is monolithic in size, and has become a living, breathing thing. And I refer to our federal government. And what we're really talking about here is, at the end of the day, is tyranny. It's really what it all comes down to, is tyranny. And these kind of things, if, let's say, this Assad thing is CIA, if the whole globalization, that these globalists all working together for this big, this is straight up tyranny, no matter how you slice it.
It's about control.
It is the opposite of liberty, and that is what I think. Unfortunately, being that you look at the size of the debt, you look at the size of and the reach of the federal government these days, and how the judicial branch has gone amok since the passing of the 17th Amendment. It may be too little, too late. It may not be possible at this point to wake people up, because unfortunately people are still too comfortable here. And until that stops, there's nothing to reach for. I mean, when the food's in the fridge and the TV works and your car's in the driveway.
But I agree with you, but my concern is that we are so far removed from people who got anything done that I don't think that when this happens, what's going to happen is that people are, we're not talking Walking Dead, where people are going to step up and find, there's going to be no Glenn's, okay? The little dorky pizza delivery boy who all of a sudden finds it himself to be an ultimate zombie killer. People are just going to spontaneously combust. The majority of the population is going to self-destruct. Because they can't fend for themselves.
I would contend we're self-destructing as we speak.
I'm talking the end game.
Yeah,
I'm talking the end of it.
And you're right. And I think you would see a month tops where it would be so chaotic that what is normal life to folks elsewhere in the world, for here, would be this major catastrophe. When for other people in the world, this is just everyday life, where there's no electricity. You got to be careful with the water. It's hard to find food. You don't even know when you're going to eat next. This is everyday life for a lot of people right now.
Right.
So when that happens here, because people are too comfortable, and they will be resistant to sacrifice anything, even for something bigger than themselves, like trying to fix stuff. And as far as getting, you mentioned like people getting things done. Are you referring to the federal government?
No. I'm talking like
survival.
My uncle's generation survival. It's like, when.
Well, here's where. Yeah, I think I know where you're going, but here's where this whole globalist agenda is evil. Okay, is that you've got all these different people on all these different continents. Different lifestyles, everything's different, right? You're trying to put it all under one umbrella. And if something happens in Flint, Michigan with the water, the government can't control it. If something happens in Louisiana, they bring in FEMA and all this stuff. They can't handle that. But yet we're going to go under one world government, and they're going to be able to take care of everybody. That's ridiculous.
Well, it is ridiculous.
It should be going just the opposite, where we should be going into Detroit Okay, there's a lot of people that have started doing this, which is really incredible, is planting food sources. Little farms in downtown where people are growing things.
Yeah.
And you need to learn to be sustainable on a local level.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like, Redford, Livonia, all these different areas have to sustain themselves. That's what the government should be doing, is making sure that those people can survive on their own without assistance.
Well, you know how the government does that?
Just the opposite.
Staying the hell out of their way.
Yeah.
That's how the
because
government
our
does
government
that.
is only interested in making us more dependent upon
they
them.
do
That's
that by
exactly what this is all about.
by staying out of their lives. What we want, really, at least me, is we want them to get their faces out of our faces. That's what we want. Because you see how this has spiraled out of control. I mean, they're literally got their fingers in everything.
Yeah.
It's one of the posts.
So it's almost beyond. The states have to say, look, no, F you, give them the finger. Because governors, keep in mind, since the formation of the European Union, governors in the United States have more authority than prime ministers in Europe.
Right.
These people are not powerless. They're very, very powerful. In fact, they could literally arrest federal agents if they come into the state under false pretenses. So it's not like, federal law trumps state law, but only to a point, right?
I understand that, but look what happened in Phoenix with Joe Arpaio, the sheriff out there.
Yeah.
They're going after him federally to throw him in jail because of his policies. The federal government you can argue
it's
who it
run
was
amok.
under. It's run amok, and that is rapidly eroding what you're talking about right there.
Yeah, and they're basically bullies. I mean, they do what they want, and if you don't stand up to them, you get steamrolled. And it doesn't matter if it's legal or not.
You can go read through the debates during the ratification of the Constitution and this process that took place and what these people were talking about. And it's exactly their point.
Yeah.
Exactly their point. That's why federalism, although not perfect, right? It's not necessarily glorious either. But liberty is. And if you don't preserve that, you got nothing. You got nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah, nothing. I mean, anymore you can't. You got. We could go on and on. Radical college professors. You got public schools are you have insane things going on.
Yeah. Well, here's a good. I'm glad you brought up the public schools, because that was one of the Facebook posts that we had. Okay, where everyone's the teachers are part of a union, so a lot of the teachers that I'm friends with on Facebook, they're all going one way.
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
Very liberal. It's Betsy DeVos is the devil. Blah blah blah. But no one can really tell you why anyone's bad. It's just, oh no, they're the devil.
Yeah, they don't know why they're bad. They can't cite anything.
They can't cite anything.
It's the same frustration I have with people like the group of people that Kat was talking about last week about atheists. When we're trying to have an intelligent debate with them about God, it's to say they can't do anything but recite lines from Hitchens and Dawkins books. They think they're intellectual, but they have zero original thoughts.
Yeah, there's no critical thinking going on.
No,
anymore.
there's none. There's some memory retention that's kind of impressive.
Sure,
I mean,
yeah.
They remember more of their quotes than I do, because I read them and go, not going to store that.
They can regurgitate stuff very simply.
Yeah.
Anyone can do that.
And they have, the amount of illusion that is going on. It's staggering.
Here's a good thing. That's why there's an argument against pulling religion out of education, right? Because you've taken that out of education.
Did we talk? I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but did we talk about that on this show, or was that a discussion you and I had?
Probably both.
That the whole reason for education, that the reason why we started schools, do you know what that reason was? Anybody? Nick?
I think it was
Tony?
to learn about the Bible.
To read, so that people could read the Bible.
Yeah.
That is why schools were invented.
Yeah, and actually, in some places, they use the Bible to teach people how to read.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Well, that's how all our... What was the other book? There was another book along with the Bible that was the common syllabus back in the day
I should know
of
this,
our
but
forefathers.
I don't know.
I don't remember
I
the
don't
name, and
remember
it's
it.
not a book that we read anymore.
But the way to this whole public education debate, the way to really destroy it is simple. The idea that if the federal government doesn't control education, that nobody will be educated is utterly ridiculous. But that's really where they're coming from. It's like if the feds just turn it back over to the states like it was, I think pre-1978, then everyone's going to be idiots. But what we've seen actually is
that they're making them into
that's
idiots.
what's happened is that it's now, kids are getting raped in bathrooms. We got, heroin epidemics in some of the nicest little, villages in the country.
There's a huge heroin in Howell.
Exactly. And this is the result. This is the result. This is what happens when, and this is why, that you find for me anywhere in the Constitution it says that the federal government's responsible for implementing and regulating education. You find it and let me know. But it's not there, and the reason why it's not there is because it doesn't fall under their authority. That's why. And the reason why is because of this. Because now what you have is state-run schools, and they teach kids anything they want.
Yeah.
And if you go against the grain, they'll just threaten you, take away the crack rock, right? The block grants. No more funding.
Federal funding.
And I would say, fine, keep it. We don't need it. Because you know what? Honestly, some of the most intelligent human beings that have ever walked the planet
were homeschooled.
We're educated in barns with no electricity, in church buildings with no running water, and no electricity, and no cars, and no internet, and these people were brilliant.
Yeah, it's fun.
Brilliant.
We don't have people on par with them
don't
today.
Try to tell me that without the federal government running education that nobody's going to be educated. That is absolutely ridiculous. In fact, I would say the opposite is true. If you get them out of it, our kids will become smarter. Because it's all different. This is not San Diego, right?
Well,
San Diego's not here, so what we do here is different than there. They have their own things.
Right.
The important part about that is I don't believe any of this is on accident.
It's not on accident.
It's not an accident. It's not like people with good intentions are making this happen.
I hear you.
It's people with evil intentions, because you go back to Hitler Youth, right? The quotes they said about them. You control their books, you control them.
Yeah.
It's propaganda. They're being exposed to propaganda through schooling. We're being exposed to propaganda through media.
And schooling.
And schooling. Yeah.
Right. And
this all goes towards an evil agenda.
That's right.
And I think that is absolutely, and we'll end with this and take a break, but I think that's absolutely one of the things that's blown my mind, and Dave and I have talked about, is the fact that American history is no longer a requirement. It's not taught.
It's crazy, right?
That's insane.
Yeah.
Because I would think American history would be taught around the world in democratic countries, because America was the one nation that wasn't like every other nation.
Yeah. Yeah, our heritage is important, and they're erasing it.
And they're completely erasing it, and they don't want to talk about all the things that made America great. They want to talk about Native Indians.
Well,
what are they now?
Why America's horrible. Yeah.
Am I allowed to call them Indians?
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Columbus did. Even when they corrected him, he's like, nah, you're Indians.
Native Americans, that's what it is. Native Americans. Because I'm sure they started here. They didn't walk across a land bridge from Asia or anything like that. They don't even teach American history.
No.
Is American Indian a proper term even?
Again.
I might have mixed two.
Again,
I probably meant to say Native American and or Indian, and American Indian.
Yeah, American Indian.
Because otherwise, if you just say Indian, you could be talking about Raj down at the
right.
Down at the Zippy Mart.
Yeah, that was so racist.
Sorry,
but funny. It was actually pretty good.
You like that?
Yeah, it's not bad.
Oh yeah, I can do it. I can do it all day on the
Can you
phone.
do Indian accent?
Yeah.
Also,
totally.
That's cool.
Totally. I'll do that when we get back.
Yeah, it's cool.
Okay,
Let's get the slushy.
We're gonna
cigarette break.
We are going to pay a few bills right now. I'm going to go kiss a cow. Kenny will have us right back.
That was way insulting.
Welcome back to Down the Rabbit Hole. Took a quick break. Had an interesting conversation outside. Hooper is MIA today. We haven't heard a word from him. He doesn't have an excused absence or anything. But Kat is listening. So God bless her for being out there and carrying the torch when she can't be in the studio. She put forth a very interesting question. She asked if this could be the beginning of the whole Gog and Magog thing.
Ah.
And she thought it was very appropriate that we read Isaiah 17, 1 through 3. Now, for those following along at home on your YouVersion Bible app, I'm reading from the Amplified Bible because that's my new favorite version of the Bible. So there will be extra things added in here, which in my opinion just bring a little bit more clarity to me. So Isaiah 17, verse 1 through 3. The mournful inspired oracle, a burden to be carried concerning Damascus, capital of Aram, Syria, and Israel's defense against Assyria. Okay, that's Syria and Assyria.
Right.
Okay. Listen carefully, Damascus. Listen carefully. Damascus will cease to be a city and will become a fallen ruin. The cities of Arar, which is east of Jordan, are deserted. They will be only a refuge for flocks to lie down in, and there will be no one to make them afraid. The fortified city will disappear from Ephraim, and the kingdom from Damascus, and the remnant of Aram, which is Syria. They will be like the departed glory, her ally, the children of Israel, declares the Lord of hosts.
Yeah. And if you've seen recent pictures of Damascus, I would say that's what you'd call on the money.
Yeah, and Kat also brought up a very interesting point about Damascus, that Damascus is actually the oldest continually inhabited city in the world. It has been conquered, but never completely destroyed.
Yeah, well, it's destroyed now. It's a mess.
It's bad.
It's a rubble heap, dude. Look at pictures.
Yeah.
It's insane. And
so to answer Tony's question, why Syria? That's why Kat started texting me this stuff.
yeah,
Maybe that's the answer why Syria.
I think that's not only legitimate, it's probably worth looking deeper into because it's also referenced in that whole end time scenario.
Yeah, it is.
Where the king of the north is Russia. So, what does that mean? Is he making his way to Israel? It's possible.
And how are I'm politically ignorant on this. How are Russia's does Russia support Israel, or is Russia anti-Israel?
No, I would say due to their relationship with Iran, Russia is anti-Israel.
Okay. So Russia is allied with Iran.
Right.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Basically, Iran and North Korea are the two.
Yeah. So there's
There's
validity to that.
And is it political?
Well, now, I mean, on the surface, but
Because Iran's not technically communist, is it?
no, but they are Islamist. And the two are equally evil, in my opinion.
I'm not going to disagree with you there.
So if that's what we're talking about, which is usually what we're talking about, is good and evil, then you can just lump all those guys in the same group. As far as, the communists, the Islamists, the Nazis, these guys are all from the same cloth. Either ideologically or through actions, right? So the fact that you have, and keep in mind, Russia's not communist anymore.
You're right.
So at least
they're not democratic either.
yeah, they kind of are.
Kind of?
They've hold elections and all this stuff, but they did when Stalin was in power too. So whatever.
Yeah, he was elected, wasn't he?
Well, like he said, don't worry. It's not the voters that decide the winner. It's the ones counting the votes. And boy, was he right. So
Not according to Snopes.
well, Snopes is on the money too, so you should probably you should probably trust that for sure. But no, she illustrates an illuminating point, because what this is maybe leading up to is a popular subject on this show, and that's the the final battle, dude. That is the climax here.
Well, here's something interesting. Okay, when you bring up stuff like that, you, in my head, you wonder, is this something that's supposed to happen, or is it people trying to make it happen?
Well,
you see what I mean?
I'll put it to you like this: if it's God's plan to come to a certain conclusion, it doesn't really matter what happens in between, because people can go ahead and try to derail that, but it's not going to matter, because they may think that, through illusion, that they're actually, skirting this or making it go faster than, or accelerating it or whatever it is.
Yeah, but it's going to happen right when he wants it to.
It's going to happen right when he wants it to, and exactly how he wants it to. And what goes on from start to finish in the middle, it's malleable, man. He can make adjustments. He can pause this conversation, rewind it, make a tweak, fast forward it. I mean, you have to think of things in this kind of, get your head in that kind of a mindset. So if it really doesn't matter what, people do, because keep in mind, like, you look at the real radicals out there that literally think that they are participating in bringing on the end of the world. The ISIS, the Al-Qaedas, the Boko Harams, these types, they really do believe that they're making this happen. They have to bring chaos on the earth in order for their end time scenario to be realized. But the fact of the matter is they're powerless to do this. I mean, it's gonna end up being exactly how he wants it to be, one way or the other. And we can kind of see this. I brought this up before. You can see this in the book of Jonah, where, he intended for him to go warn those people. It didn't matter what Jonah. He ended up warning them anyway. So it doesn't. You can go ahead and turn left when he wants you to turn right, but you're gonna have to turn right anyway. Yeah. So in between, and really, you can look through. If anyone wants to question, the validity of Bible prophecy, please do question it, because you'll be surprised at what you find. If that book has been on the money as it has, then why would we think that it's going to be off now? I mean, so it's a jigsaw puzzle, dude. You put it together. I mean, even if it's a picnic scene, just because the piece with the flower's missing, a flower's there. Right. So whether you find the piece,
I understand where Tony's coming from too, because I have often prior to where I am at right now with my relationship with God and my knowledge of the Bible and the things that I research and read, I often thought the same thing. It's like, is this really happening, or are people trying to make it happen? And what could possibly be their motivation to make it happen, when, if you're going by the script of the Bible, you know how it ends. It doesn't end well, for most of the people. And I'm totally where Tony's at. I just, the only thing I wonder is that if people are trying to manipulate things and make it happen, that their agenda is, why are these people even bothering fighting?
Pride.
And the only thing I can think of is that they have been deceived, that they have convinced themselves that they can change the outcome, so they're trying to hasten. Yeah. They're trying to hasten the progress towards the end, because they believe they've got some trick up their sleeve that's going to change the outcome.
Well, that's why pride is so warned against.
Pride is unbelievable.
That is rooted in pride. So, and if you can justify in your own mind that, I don't know, dropping chemical weapons on a population of people is acceptable to achieve some end.
Yeah, any end.
Right? Then you see what you're dealing with already. So whoever did it, it doesn't, for this conversation, doesn't matter. Somebody did it. At least we're led to believe somebody that this actually happened.
Somebody did it. It's just who.
Right.
It's who and what was there. Somebody made that decision, and they made that decision because they have a purpose. Exactly. So it's like, what is their purpose? That is what's unclear, is exactly who did it and what the purpose is. Because I'm sorry, Assad is many things. He's not a moron. Okay, he may be evil. He may be a horrible, horrible person. His agenda may be 180 out of what ours is. But the guy would not stay alive in that environment if he wasn't smart.
He's an educated man, right? He was educated in the West, so who knows? I think none of us are.
Look,
are
I
ever
think
gonna
he's
find
evil,
out.
but he comes off pretty bright to me.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Okay?
If he's against the Islamist agenda, and that's a political ideology, by the way.
It is. It comes with its own laws.
Yeah, it's a political ideology,
yeah.
and it's akin to Nazism, to these kind of supremacy type viewpoints. And if he's over there, like all those other leaders that were removed, bucking that system, so to speak, trying to curb it, trying to control. I mean, you can question their methods all we want, but out of fairness, I'm not that familiar with what it's like to try to govern a culture like that, right? And try to keep that stuff in check. I mean, when you got little 9-year-old,
that's the other thing.
you got daddy coaching a 9-year-old girl to go blow herself up at a police station, which
Mm-hmm.
actually happened in Afghanistan, by the way.
Yeah.
And we have videos of him.
Well, and that's why in the West, the average soccer mom in Canton cannot even fathom how these people, the Islamic extremists. Well, I just don't even understand how they could. Well, if all you do is tell your child they're sponges, all they want to learn. If the only education you give to your child is the Quran, you're going to end up with a psychopath who wants to kill Christians, who wants to kill everybody who's not Islamic, everybody who's not like them.
Well, I mean,
if that's all you feed them, if you take and I'll even go out on a limb here and make the left a little happy with this and say that, even if Islam is the religion of peace they purport it to be, well, obviously there's a ton of people, just like there's a ton of people twisting Christianity to make it something it's not. There are a bunch of people twisting Islam to be something it's not, and they're educating children to grow up to hate everybody who isn't just like them and doesn't believe what they believe.
Yeah, it's just all you have to do is look. I mean, just look. I mean, you see what's happening in Europe. I mean, you see where this is headed. And I don't even see how you could even debate this anymore.
And I mean, and we're watching it happen. I mean, there was something we read. It's that same damn letter that was found in the Courier, whose name I can't remember, that Hooper found. Okay,
Albert Pike.
Okay, it's that same letter. Because when you read down farther, and I think you were the one who brought it up in the next paragraph after what Hooper was reading, where they talk about the fact that they're going to use Islam to topple Christianity. And Islam will think it's a victory, but they're going to be wiped out next.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, what are we watching happen right now?
Exactly.
It's
open season on Christians, and you cannot say a word about a Muslim.
Right. That's right.
That's exactly.
And I don't understand how intelligent people who are supposed to be thinkers. If I wasn't a Christian, I could still call a spade a spade. If I was still on the outside going, I just don't know, I could still look at this and going, it's kind of unfair to those guys because we can't do anything against them, but these guys are open season. Even if I wasn't a Christian, I would still realize the disparity in the rules and the logic.
Yeah, I mean,
unless you were brainwashed.
Right.
Well, I mean, and I was brainwashed, but I guess I wasn't that brainwashed because I still would have been able to call that. I know it in my heart without a doubt that if I stood outside and still made the decision to doubt God, to not be a Christian, if I still made the decision to be whatever I was, agnostic, I guess, and not participate, I would still see that what's going on is not a fair fight.
Yeah, it's sideways. And you can see, you take Iraq as an example. I mean, everyone here probably knows somebody who's Chaldean, right? Mm-hmm. Am I pretty accurate there?
Yes.
What makes them Chaldean? Why are they Chaldeans?
Because they're Christian.
Because they're
Christian
Christian.
Iraqi.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Now, there's a gigantic population of Chaldeans here that came from Iraq because there used to be a gigantic Chaldean population
Right, and
in Iraq.
the ones that were left have all been beheaded by ISIS.
Well, now there is no longer a single
right,
church left in Iraq.
right, because
Not
they
one.
burned them all down. They've
The last
destroyed
one
them.
is gone.
Yeah.
So you see what's happening. Egypt, same thing.
Hey,
And who's making that happen, though? That's the question.
well, I mean,
I mean,
ISIS made it happen over in.
You could say ISIS, but you could say ISIS. You could say.
Well, I mean, they were definitely the tool.
They are the tool being used by the CIA and.
Well, I'm sure. I mean,
the US.
Barack Obama created ISIS, so it's
9/11 happened.
it's probably his
And they
wife
went in-
Michael doing it all.
Michael.
Mike, just Mike. I like Mike.
Mike, yeah.
So 9/11 happens, right? We know it happened. Can't say how or why or what, right? But you can
Yeah,
say
we
it
have.
it did happen, and there was no ties to Iraq, but yet we went into Iraq.
I
The U.S.
hear ya.
went into Iraq,
I hear you.
right? So the question is, who's making that happen? Who is the glove behind our government? The shadow government, the secret, whatever you want to call these guys, military, industrial complex, all these things. There is a hand guiding all of this behind the scenes.
Yes, for our wrestling match is not with flesh and blood.
It's those without bodies.
That's who's behind it.
Yeah, that's exactly who's behind it.
Evil forces.
Hey, Kat has some. Tony,
spiritual
pull up
realm.
a live news feed that you trust. I was going to say pull up CNN, but we all know that's not the one. According to Kat, right now Iran is hitting Syria on the ground, and Russia is hitting them from the air.
Iran is hitting Syria.
According to Kat, Iran is hitting Syria on the ground, and Russia is hitting them from the air right now.
Good God. See, dude.
So if someone could pull that up, so we can talk
It's,
about that.
I don't see it
God.
on anything yet.
We'll have to look into that. But the whole, I do want to point something out. This attack on Christians, and now you're seeing it here too, like bleeding into attack on Jews too. Again, something that was predicted in the Bible flawlessly. In fact, there's a reassuring quote I think that came from Jesus himself that said, "Remember that when the world hates you, it hated me first."
Right.
And it even says, if you're alive at that point, they will, in no uncertain terms, states this, they will take you and they will kill you.
Hmm?
So there you go. I mean, and what's going on right now?
Oh yeah.
At an unprecedented rate. I mean, even legislatively, they're outlawing Christians effectively. Right? I mean, if you were a school teacher and said something about Jesus, you would be. I mean, you would have a hearing. So
Well, they made a movie about it.
Persecution isn't always just nailing somebody to a cross or cutting their head off or whatever. This can happen, through administratively too.
So I'm not seeing anything right now. I'm looking at Drudge Report and
Okay, it's on USA Today.
USA Today is a.
Well, I mean, you got to Google.
What's in that is internet. That's
Did you Google? Did you Google Iran?
So God and may God, dude. Oh my God, this is so terrible.
Uh,
Setting up the chessboard, man.
Yeah. And people are still ignorant. I mean, they're seeing it happen right where it's supposed to happen, and it's
Setting
still
up
like,
the
oh,
chessboard.
yeah, it says, yep, nope. Why would a loving God wipe out entire races of people? Why would a loving God, just totally buying the Old Testament bias.
Right. They don't recognize that. Most of those people weren't even human, but whatever.
Right. That's beside the point.
yeah, I'm not seeing, but let's talk about that for 1 second.
If that is true,
How would that make sense? Because Syria, Russia, and Iran are all supposed to be, Russia was supporting Assad, right, and backing him, and they were fighting against ISIS, which was Obama.
Oh. And Kat clarifies that it's actually they're in looks like they're in Iran, not Syria.
What?
Yeah, Iran and Russia are up in Afghanistan's grill, not Syria.
Oh.
So it's...
Well, that's good. Now we're the fake news.
Yeah, great. Now we've committed
Thanks,
fake
Cat.
news. Thanks, Cat.
So, yeah, that would not make sense to me. But the interesting thing about when you talk about Iran is Iran has been Ahmadinejad. You remember this guy?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
How could I ever forget that name?
Yeah, he's supposed to be back. He's running again. You guys, I don't know
Really?
if that's been he's
Sawed off little prick is back, huh?
Well, and this is one of those things where you look at these people. Are they getting popular in their countries because they're anti-American, like Kim Jong-un, or is he actually controlled by, the U.S.? Is he a puppet?
Oh, I
Actually controlled by the military-industrial complex to save.
Yeah, I don't know. That dude seems very mavericky to coin.
Ahmadinejad, right?
I can't look.
You say it well. I can't even say that.
I can't listen to that with a straight face. I'm sorry, dude. Change your name.
First thing when he started running his mouth back when he was first elected, I said, "Oh, this is a guy that's going to be trouble," right? We knew he was going to be trouble. This guy is like dangerous.
Yeah, you heard the things he was saying.
Yeah, and he's Western educated.
They all are. They come here for They come here for the education, either here or London. They go to England or the United States. They get their education, and then they use all of the knowledge we've given them to create terror cells and try to blow us up.
Well, the thing I was going to bring up is Operation Ajax. Okay, was an operation in the 50s when the U.S. and Britain actually went in, took out Iran's elected leader, put in the Shah of Iran.
Yeah.
Okay, you remember that? Then
That
Shah
ended
got
well.
overthrown because he wasn't doing so well, so they overthrew
by
him. Now
the Ayatollahs.
Now the Ayatollahs come in, who are the religious hardliners.
Yeah.
So I don't think they really have control over Iran like what the plan was.
Oh, no, there's no way. Those psychopaths, are you kidding me? No one has control over them.
That's very interesting. Have you ever seen pictures of Iran from the 70s?
Yeah, it looked like an actual...
You would think you were looking at pictures of New York City.
Yeah. Where the women were walking around,
Yeah, just normal.
business casuals.
Yeah. Now, look at pictures of Iran. See what this is Islamist political ideology actually produces.
So here's what I wanted to read about the thing I was telling you guys outside. Is it's the operation at the Iron Mountain. Let me bring this up here. The report from Iron Mountain was a book that was published late 60s. Okay. Iron Mountain was a underground nuclear bunker that they put a think tank in, 15 or assorted members, where they get together and they do these studies. And the whole question was, what problems would occur if the U.S. entered a state of lasting peace? Okay, so these guys all think tank this out.
That's just awesome. That's so us. That's so United States.
Oh, yeah,
what problems could arise if we find a lasting peace?
Well, this is under the Johnson administration. After he took out Kennedy.
Yeah, well, I don't think he took out Kennedy.
Well, he was a part of it.
He was definitely part of the plan.
So he wasn't on the grassy knolls. I wasn't trying to say that, but.
But George Sr. was.
George Sr. was there. He denied it, but they had pictures of him. It says that the report got out, and peace was not in the interest of a stable society. That even if lasting peace could be achieved, it would almost certainly not be in the best interest of society to achieve it. War was a part of the economy. Therefore, it was necessary to conceive a state of war for a stable economy. The government, the group theorized, would not exist without war, and nation-states existed in order to wage war. So this is what, when you sit back and you look at all the things that are going on right now, and you look at the $20 trillion in debt and the importance of, all these things that have been talked about with the economy imploding because of the debt and the different things that's been propped up for so long. Is this something, this Syria thing that's going on now, the North Korea thing, just like you said, they threw off 59 missiles at 1.4 apiece, right? They've got this big, huge Moab bomb that they dropped that's been sitting in the corner,
Yeah, well, look at the F-35 fighter, the amount of money that went into that. I mean, what good is it if you don't use it?
Right. So is this all a part of this wage war for the economy? Or do you think this is more Illuminati, it's all Illuminati.
Well, I would say it's fair to say it's both.
A combination of all of
It's
this?
both. I mean, it's both at the same time. So we're there. They may have, individuals involved or organizations or groups or whatever involved that think that what they're doing is economical, profiteering type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they can go ahead and think that. But what's really happening is they're part of something that they actually don't realize they're part of. And some of them actually do realize it.
Mm-hmm.
But
the head of the snake you're talking.
well, like I said, I mean, if you take, from start to finish, what happens in between, it's malleable. I mean, so you can change its form, but the end game's the same. So they think, okay, this is how we, the military industrial complex, this is, but this is really just part of the overall plan anyway.
Because there's so many different pieces, right? There's so many different areas that are all controlled. You're kind of mentioning, I think, the head of the snake. You've got some people that are aware of what's going on. They're kind of driving, but all the other people underneath don't really know. They're just following orders, basically.
Right. And how many times have you heard that in movies and such? It's just following orders. And that's justification for almost anything. Following orders.
Mm-hmm.
Even killing civilians.
Because it takes...
With your own military, by the way.
It takes the ownership off of them and puts it on the...
That's right.
Following orders.
That's exactly right. It is interesting. I don't know that there's a correlation, but I just thought of it. You said that think tank thing was called Iron Mountain.
Yes.
And when was this?
67.
It's interesting. Founded in 1951 as Iron Mountain Incorporated, which is one of the largest.
I'm sorry, 63 was the study group, but Iron Mountain was prior to that when they built the underground.
Oh, okay.
Nuclear bunker.
Yeah, because Iron Mountain Incorporated, which is the they manage data and information for companies, medical supply, everything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you've seen the trucks everywhere. They were founded in 1951. Iron Mountain Incorporated. I'm sure it's a coincidence.
How much you know about Iron Mountain, about this Iron Mountain report? Because I got a review of it here, and it says it's satire.
I don't know. I don't know anything about it.
That it was actually written in the 1930s, and they kept attributing it to each new regime.
I don't know. But the symbol for...
Well, that's what, if you wanted to provide propaganda and misinformation, that's exactly what you'd say.
Yeah, sure.
It's like this letter that we talk about from Albert Pike to Giuseppe, whatever his name is. You look that up and everybody dismisses that. It's all
It was
BS.
written this time.
That's kind of like a Snopes thing. We keep talking about Snopes, right? Oh, yeah, this has been debunked.
Yeah, Snopes
right?
said.
It's been debunked. This was not 53. And then down at the bottom, it'll say, this is actually from a book in 1949. They take a little bit of information and they just throw it out as, oh, that's not true. But, I mean, is it a stretch?
No.
It's not a stretch. I mean, that would be an economic plan. And that's what the industrial military complex is built on.
Yeah.
So all these things that these people throw these things out there.
Why don't you call in, Kat, and explain?
Well, what you see, though...
What you're cryptically texting me. The number is 313-879-5059.
Yeah, what you're seeing, though, is
tell
that...
Tell Howard to read the rest of his text.
That actually is happening, though, because we've been in a perpetual state of war since World War II.
Oh, yeah.
It's not stopped, by the way, ever. Never stopped.
That's why this is important.
Well, I mean, it's clearly happening.
it's funny.
So-
We kind of laughed about earlier. No one believes this because we're tin hats.
Yeah, Team Tinfoil.
Team tinfoil. I like
Yeah.
that. We should make shirts made up.
Yeah, Howard came up with that a while ago. Team
Wait,
Tinfoil.
wish we knew someone that could make some shirts up. So you've got all these different things. When you look at each piece individually, you could say, well, that's actually what's happening. And this is where the point gets back to the head of the snake. You've got all these different areas. The head of the snake knows what's going on. They funnel this information to all these low-level people, and they actually make it happen. And people say, "Oh, that's not true. That's conspiracy theory. This, that, or the other."
Well, you work at a company, right?
Yeah.
You guys all have worked for companies before, right?
Oh, yeah.
This is exactly what happens in a corporate environment. Why is it so far-fetched to think it happens on that level?
Exactly.
You don't know everything the CEOs are thinking or doing. All you know is what your immediate supervisor tells you to do. By the end of the day, we have to have this out the door. You don't really know why or what. You're just doing your job.
And that's a good point. I thought about this the other day because that's happened to me. I was in a position to where I was convinced by management to talk to my guys, right, and say, "Hey, this is the way we're going to go. Here's all the good points for it, and this is all good things." When I first heard it, I'm thinking, well, I don't think that's such a good idea. But they start brainwashing you, right? They start to, okay, this is going to be better for this. This is, so convince your guys this is what's going to happen, and it's all going to be good. So I go out and I do this. 6 months, 8 months later, I'm thinking like, what a dick I am.
Yeah, you just lied to everybody.
I just lied to everybody, and this is horrible. Just
And
like I thought it was gonna be.
everybody else is blaming you.
Right.
Yeah, because I was the one out there,
Yeah.
like I was the rah-rah guy. Come on, guys, let's
Yeah.
make this happen. And you start to get
Well,
pissed
and
off
if
that-
you refused at the time, they would simply say, "Well, if you can't fulfill your duties at
Yeah.
such and such position, then
Right.
we
Yeah.
can go ahead and dissolve that too, and you can just go ahead and pack up your stuff and leave."
right.
So you see how the game. Now this is a micro level. This is just at a company. This happens everywhere all the time. This happens in households.
Well, I think this is what probably most likely happened with Susan Rice when she was told to go out there and spread that
Yeah.
idea of this attack at Benghazi was about this video that came out. It's a ridiculous thing, but I'm guessing. Okay, I don't know this. I'm guessing she was the pawn
Could be.
that they convinced her to go, and she's been the pawn. Hey, you go out and tell these people this. Okay, and then the other one was the Bo Bergdahl, where she said Bo Bergdahl was an honorable patriot.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah,
he's
he
a
was
great
wonderful.
guy, and
Yeah.
blah blah blah. She, that was another one she was caught on, and now you've got this last one. Oh, I didn't have anything to do with the unmasking,
Right.
of any of these. She is a pawn. Probably doesn't know any better. The James Comey, all these people are pawns, and they're doing what's happening to them is most likely either they're willing. They are willing. You have to be willing at some point to do this kind of stuff.
You could
Either-
resign.
Yeah, you could resign,
Yeah.
or you could do this, right? Well, I got a job. I want to keep my
Sure.
job, or I'm really into it and I want to. So you don't know what that person's motivation is, but what you're saying is exactly what happens.
Yeah,
At all these different levels.
Well, this happens in. You take it even simpler. This happens in every single household, on some level, where there's parents and children. The children don't know the day-to-day operation of the household or what's going on between parents or what parents really are. They just know because I said so. That's what they know. Right?
My kids don't know that.
But I mean, that's a lot of
My
times
kids are grown.
when there's an explanation that you can't give a kid because they don't understand. They say why. You say because I said so. That's why.
And we all resort to it.
And
sooner
the
or later.
kids just kind of go along with what the parents. But the kids don't know in detail what the plans are for the parents' retirement or what's going on with the mortgage, or they just know I got to clean my room. I got to do my homework.
Right.
I got to be to bed by 9 or whatever.
I got to finish my vegetables.
That kind of stuff. So the higher up you get organizationally, even to the national level, it's the same thing. I mean, you get the same dynamic going on. So again, can you not fulfill your duties as General so-and-so? Because if not, we can handle that. Well, you don't want to disrupt your upward momentum in your career.
Right.
You don't want to damage your
yeah.
reputation so you're not
Like I
hireable
said,
elsewhere.
everybody is seeking power on some level.
Yeah, or just, whatever, success, power, just having that title, whatever your motivation
And
is.
the thing is the first time you cross the line, they're going to use that the next time to get you to cross another line farther.
Right.
And then you're going to have a stack of skeletons in your closet where you have to do what they say or you're done.
Well, they've enticed and compelled you, and now they will enslave you.
Yeah.
And that's really interesting because that's how demons operate.
I'm noticing a parallel. I enjoyed a really good Bible study about it the last 3 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah? Who was doing that?
Buddy of mine.
Yeah, right.
Buddy of
on.
mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was pretty convincing.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, PowerPoint and everything.
Right
Yeah.
on. Yeah. Got him to buy a TV.
Yeah, it was almost like I was there. It was so
Yep.
big.
So with Kat, what's
She's
the
not
latest?
calling in? What's going on?
I don't know.
No calling.
I think she's wrong about the bombings.
It doesn't matter. It'll change tomorrow with the news.
It's probably just predictive programming. There'll be bombs later, and then we'll be part of the CIA. And because we said
she may have just predicted the future.
She may have.
Yeah, maybe.
That would be interesting, wouldn't it? The glitch in our matrix. It's like announcing Building 7 collapsed before it actually
before.
collapsed.
How did you guys
Yeah.
know? It was just an accident. It was a coincidence.
Yeah, it was the debris from the other buildings. Yeah.
But again, why Afghanistan? You know what I'm saying? Who cares?
I know. That's what gets me. I mean,
Who cares?
is it, and then you've got people who will swear on their lives that it's because the reason why we wanted Iraq is because there is a decent amount of evidence that Iraq is where the original Garden of Eden may have been.
Right.
It's the cradle of humanity.
That's
right in the middle of Iraq.
Yeah.
And there are plenty of people that will tell you that's why. But everybody who doesn't pay attention to the Bible, which is the largest portion of the population, that's just crazy.
Well, even secular archaeologists will tell you that Iraq as a country is less than 5%. 5%. What's the word? Excavated, or is that the right word?
Yeah, excavated. Yeah, if you want to talk
archaeology.
Yeah, excavated.
Less than 5%. So there are that it's literally untouched as far as archaeological expeditions, because really most. And this could be by design, too. Most of the areas that are of interest are just too dangerous to go.
Oh, yeah.
Too dangerous.
Well, I mean, and it easily could be by design.
I think one of the interesting things about Iraq when the war was going on, and I think maybe somebody mentioned this before, but all of the groups that were going in to collect all the ancient artifacts and things like that. You guys are aware of
that was like the focus.
Oh, yeah. That was the first thing they did. They wanted to stop them from destroying historical artifacts, yeah.
Or finding them.
You think they got the Ark?
After all, the giant axes on display at the Baghdad Museum, stuff like that, that's where it would be, in that region. So who knows what lies under that sand. But they can't go there to check it out.
It's not chemical weapons,
It's certainly not. It might be, but that's not what we're talking about.
It's not weapons of mass destruction.
WMDs? WMDs?
No WMDs?
But actually, I heard something. I have to look into this to be accurate. But, the going joke is there was bad intelligence. There was no weapons of mass destruction. It turns out there actually was.
No, there was.
Yeah. So.
I mean, I remember there was an interview. It might have been on 2020, but there was actually an interview that I saw in a documentary with a leading Iraqi scientist, one of the heads of the nuclear program, and I don't know how you make nuclear weapons, okay, but whatever you need to start, which is what freaks everybody out, you can't do it. He said it's buried in a canister under his garden.
Oh, it's enriched uranium.
Yeah. That they literally, when the UN came in, they took it out and they buried it under his flower garden to hide it and let the UN walk through and
they didn't find anything.
And they didn't find anything because it wasn't there.
Yeah, but it was.
But they didn't put any Geiger counters on his garden, I guess.
Well, I mean, if it's packaged correctly, it wouldn't read anyway, right? So, but yeah, so that means they had centrifuges. They were enriching uranium and making it weapons grade.
Yeah, I don't have much doubt that there was, like you said, 5%. 95% is unexcavated.
Yeah.
I have no doubt that there are not huge bunkers. I mean, come on, there's a whole underground network of underground facilities in the United States. Are you going to tell me they haven't dug some holes in the sand?
Well, we know
put
they
them
have
20 feet down and closed them off and put sand back on top of them?
We know that they have because that's what we just bombed. Was an underground tunnel system.
Right.
So, of course, that's.
What's a better place to hide something than in the middle of the desert, 50 feet down?
Yeah, or in Afghanistan because it's literally impenetrable. It's the most hostile environment, literally on the planet. Which is interesting that Russia would even dabble in Afghanistan again after what they went through.
Yeah, you'd think after the way they got beat like a drum.
Yeah, and everyone will always. There's nothing to accomplish.
And
there.
Afghanistan wasn't that like the precipitous to the downfall of the Soviet Union?
It was a big hit. Yeah, it was a big hit.
I mean, that was a major hit for them.
Other than what the Nazis did to them.
Yeah.
Reduced them to women and children fighting to save their nation. But, and Afghanistan went from being a place that we purchased textiles from, which is why we call them Afghans. I mean, I have towels still that say made in Afghanistan.
Yep.
On the label now, they've become the heroin capital.
Opium.
Which is interesting because imagine almost all of the opium poppies are grown in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
The military's been there forever now. And what do we have going on here? A heroin epidemic because it's gotten so cheap and so pure that it's snortable.
So you can't grow a poppy here?
They don't grow here. So they grow there. There's other places, but that's the main place. And the opium production out of there is through the roof. Well, how is this possible?
It's being protected by U.S. troops also.
And how is it getting here?
CIA.
That's very interesting.
We got some, you would need a lot of people with several big cargo planes. I don't know anybody. Is there anybody in the region that might fit that bill?
Yeah, maybe.
It's funny. You start going back into movies, and all this stuff has been played out in how many different movies?
Oh, okay. Dozens.
You talk about bringing drugs in from Vietnam.
Yeah.
From all over.
I think that actually happened. That wasn't a movie.
No, it's proven that it actually happened.
We call that TV.
No, but that's what's going on in Afghanistan. That's what the reporting is, that CIA and these folks, military is protecting the fields. Okay, that's been released. There's been former military men that come back and say, no, we were being asked to protect these poppy fields, and it's like you talk about the CIA running drugs in Mena, Arkansas, back in Bill Clinton's day.
Yeah,
this was a connection between Bill Clinton and George Bush Sr. He was the president.
And why do you think Tyson Chicken is so big?
The other interesting thing I was going to bring up is because of Arkansas, you're saying?
Well, yeah, because that Tyson Chicken was nothing in the 70s. Yeah. They used his trucks to transport their stuff through.
Yeah, and now it's the place for chicken.
And apparently the Walmart patriarch is ex-CIA.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
which ties in.
I don't have to. No one said I have to relinquish my Sam's Club membership, do I?
No, you can still use it.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah, because I'm still using mine.
Because I love Sam's Club.
Oh, I thought it was interesting because they were talking about, I was wondering, because they were talking about Walmart and FEMA.
Yeah. What's the connection here, right?
What's the connection here?
Well, sometimes
Sam Walton was an ex-CIA agent.
Sometimes you just have to boil things down to the simplest level. So take drugs, for instance, right? What interest would the DEA have in stopping drugs?
Right.
They would be putting
they're out of a job. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
They'll be meter maids.
So they've literally built a military around this.
Mhm.
And
added new agencies all the time.
you really think it's in their interest to stop this? I mean, let's just be honest about it. I mean, if they actually achieved what they
Well, I mean, the sick thing
Said
is
goal.
I think if you talk to the average DEA agent, they would say that is their goal.
Oh, of course. Yeah, no, there's good folks there trying to do the right
know.
thing, right? But, I mean, if you think about it, what would be the
I
motivation
hear you.
between... I mean, it's like what we said about, curing cancer. I mean, if there's a silver bullet for cancer, you really think there'd be a real interest in this? For us, there would be.
Of course, but for them, no.
There's too much money in it.
Right?
Too much money. But, this is Team Tinfoil again.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't make any
There's
sense.
just so much material. I mean,
It
we,
never ends, dude. That's why I said the if you draw a map of the rabbit hole, it's like the infinity sign. It just goes on and on forever and ever and ever. You never find the end of it. Ever.
As in ever.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's probably a good spot to get out for
Yeah.
this week, huh?
Yeah, I think so.
So, I mean, the rabbit hole may go on forever, but this show ends after 2 hours. This has been Down the Rabbit Hole. We'll see you next week. Enjoy Happy Hour next.